Hello and welcome to a Little Nightmares Timeline Theory video. I am your host, Shaman94, and before we start, I'd like to warn you that this video will contain spoilers for Little Nightmares, Very Little Nightmares, and Little Nightmares 2, as well as the 8 comics that currently exist. And as one can suspect, this is just the timeline I've managed to piece together to form my own theory of the history of this mad world. Until the studios and devs behind the franchise confirm or deny any of it, that is all this video will be, a theory. So without further ado, let's begin. Our story would seem to begin with Very Little Nightmares, as we follow a girl in a familiar raincoat braving the terrors of a strange mansion called The Nest. And while one would be justified in believing this girl in the raincoat to be Six, the ending would reveal that another child on the island, one who helped the player in the final segments of the game, was actually Six all along. This is further reinforced by the ending as the girl in the raincoat plummets to her death into the ocean after the pretender lunges at and forces her off the side of a cliff, leaving behind nothing but the raincoat she wore. All the while, Six makes her way down to a raft at the bottom of the cliffside and rides the same current carrying the coat to the mainlands. Meanwhile, at the same time, on the mainland, where the Pale City resided, the signal tower began corrupting the citizens, warping the adults and leaving the kids to fend for themselves. Though not all children stayed in the Pale City, one managed to find his way out, back into the woods on the outskirts of the city, one we know as Mono. There he would meet Six, who had landed ashore and was being pursued by the Hunter. Seeing her being captured and believing power in numbers, Mono would set out to rescue Six and return to the city to stop the signal tower. Though he would realize too late that his trust was misplaced. Appreciated, but misplaced. Allowing Six to leave him imprisoned within the signal tower, and leaving him to become the very thing he set out to destroy. And while it seemed Six was left to walk free, the signal found a way to stay with her, to stay as a part of her, leaving her with a growing hunger and a new mission. Six's mission now would be to face the governess of the Maw and take her power for her own, a power that would allow her to feed on anything or anyone at will. Now free from the crippling hunger and having left the Maw, Six continues back into the world she, ironically, once feared so very much. And thus concludes the Little Nightmares timeline I have composed. It is unknown if this is truly where Six's story ends, or if we'll ever get a continuation in any format. But until then, I think it was a pretty good run, and I thank Tessier Studios, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and Bandai Namco for these gems. Here's to hoping we'll see more in the future.